military convoy that escorted us to the concert hall because there was concern that there might be a demonstration by the IRA. In fact, the final piece on the concert was the 1812 Overture, and we were not allowed to assimilate the cannon shots at the end of the piece and could only use the bass drum. To this day, I still play that recording on our way to our 4.5-day drive that we make every year to Mexico. I would like to take this moment now then to none of these accomplishments would have taken place without the cooperation and guidance of both the East Band parents and our principal at the time, Stan Omar. So thank you to the East community for some very wonderful memories I have had as band director of the East Bands for 30 years. Thank you.
And now the members of the East Honors Band playing a movement from the Clemser Suite.
I'm Mary Bend. I'm a library and media specialist here at Appleton East for the past 17 years.
And I'm Nick German. I've been fortunate to be a technology and engineering teacher here for the past 15 years.
Nearly 50 years ago, shortly after Appleton East opened, the Post-Crescent wrote an article about our space-age school. The article, quoting the article, it said it was spacious and modern with round academic areas.
A modern round building with no windows. Where are they thinking?
Well, nothing's perfect. But over the years, East has pursued a spirit of innovation since our space-age beginnings. And two areas that have seen much change in recent years include the Tech Ed Wing and the Library Media Center.
Our shop classes, as many of you may remember us, have expanded to technology and engineering in order to bring in some innovation as well to our area.
And this past year, our library has gotten much needed improvements with floor-to-ceiling windows that bring natural light to our nearly windowless building, a makerspace which adds a creation opportunity for students, new chairs, replacing our 50-year-old wooden chairs. More changes are in store for over this summer with comfortable reading chairs, a student reading room, and a coffee shop.
Our space-age building keeps moving toward the future while holding on to some of the things that we value the most, like our strong connection to the arts and our athletic programs. Through the generosity of our community, we've been able to expand a lot of, computers in every student's hands. Addition of Chromebooks, programming classes, different machines that are run by computers like CNC mills, lathes, 3D printers, and laser engravers.
And in the world of the LMC or the IMC or the library, whatever you call it, the look of research has changed. Not as many physical books, no card catalog, and the old Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature is a thing of the past. Technology, including the Chromebooks that every student has, means that every student carries a world library with them. But research still means hard work, inquiry, and discovery.
Career and technical education still fosters strong work ethic and students understanding what their future looks like. But also, we've been able to adjust things that we talked about, the adjustment of some of our equipment to better meet the needs of our community and our students for their future.
Learning for today's students still means fun, rewards, and sometimes frustration.
And students still do things like listen to music with their headphones and stuff. There's some pretty interesting pictures of once upon a time. But earbuds have come on instead of just headphones. In fact, many of them are wireless, and our students have become much more mobile.
Students still come to the library to study or to take a break, sometimes even to nap.
And as we were looking through the pictures of what the classes have been like over the past 50 years, one transition that I've noticed is not only is there technology making them more mobile, but the use of lockers. If you walk around the building today, you probably notice there's an awful lot of lockers that don't even have locks on them. Somewhere in the last 50 years, the culture of backpacks being used to carry their entire locker with them. At the end of the year, we still have students who have never used their locker the whole time, so that culture's changed a little bit. So a lot of people have backpacks.
But you know what our space-age school did not have 50 years ago? It didn't have a robot. What's a space-age school without a robot?
Well, Miss Ben, I'm glad you asked. T93 is the new Appleton Northeast High School. Comes here every year. And we are out of over 6,000 different teams around the world. We are the team that has earned the greatest professionalism award more than any other team. And so they've been a really big innovator in helping us kind of move forward in the school. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate your time today.
sitting out there saying, same haircut. Same hair. My name's Lee Ollinger, and memories are a powerful thing. I've been able to sit there this evening and hear memories, and I'm appreciative of what the team at East has done under Corey's leadership to put this evening together. I'm really happy to be able to share memories from my years at East High School as a 1976 graduate. One of those memories, Dave Erickson mentioned it a little bit, is to be an Appleton East Patriot in graduating in 1976, our nation's bicentennial. It was pretty special to be a Patriot, and that certainly covered our whole graduating year, the bicentennial year. That's a powerful memory. I also wanted to share with you, I had 3 sisters that went through East, and I asked them recently, I said I had a chance to say a few words, what would they like me to share with them? Some of their fond memories and maybe funny stories from their time at East High School. My sister Mary was a year ahead of me in the class of 75, and she can be glad she was a year ahead of me instead of a year behind me, and I'll get to that later. But she has very fond memories, she said, of my experience being in the marching band with Mr. Jacobs. Marching in the city parades was a lot of fun. The whole school was into square dancing because Mr. Hussey made it a blast. Some of us remember Mr. Hussey and square dancing. I do. My sister Ann, class of 79, one memory that will never diminish in her memory is how she froze her blank off during the Christmas parade in nylons and a short band skirt. Even 3 layers of nylons didn't cut the mustard, she says. Mr. Jacobs would never admit it was really that cold on the East practice field. But one Christmas parade, while his band waited on College Avenue, proudly he stood in front of his band with a smile and a little bit of a grimace on his face and announced loudly through his blowhorn, "Now this is cold." We all smiled and marched on. And finally, our youngest sister, Amy, who graduated in '84. Some memories are going on the orchestra trip out to Colorado and cheerleading at the boys' state basketball tournament 2 years in a row. I didn't realize that. Most stunning memory for her, though, was that we had smoking doors for the students here at East High School back in those days. And we did. So on to my memories of East High School real briefly. I'm going to start with a few words. Railroad, plank, Manitowoc, Coop, Lake Park, State Park. Some of you will know those names. Now I'm going to get to how they're a memory for me, an important memory for me and who I am today. It was my sophomore year. In my pre-high school years, I had some promise, but I spent a lot of time as an administrative intern as I got to know principals from every elementary school I was at up through middle school. And my sophomore year at East didn't start too much differently than that. My best friend, who lived in our neighborhood, was on the cross-country team here at East, and he thought it'd be a good idea if I came out. So midway through the season, I came out my sophomore year. There's only 3 years of school at East at that time, sophomore, junior, and seniors. And joined the cross-country team, knowing a little bit about what I was getting into, but not a whole lot. We went on our warm-up run, which was around the golf course and back before the workout. I made it to Madison Middle School. And fortunately, Coach Perez was nearby in a car, because that's as far as I made it, was to Madison Middle School. And I got a ride back. I think that was the extent of my workout that day. So things didn't start all that well, but Coach Perez stuck with me. And I don't know that he even knew he stuck with me, but after I didn't really go out for track my sophomore year either. I overslept for our first cross-country meet at Fort Atkinson and didn't even make the bus, so missed that entirely. So not a real auspicious start to my running career. And as I mentioned, I was a student that struggled a bit in terms of being focused in the classroom. Well, fast forward to after track season that year, and Coach Perez was taking a group of us, of runners, down to the Lakefront Marathon down in Milwaukee. And again, my best friend was going along. I figured I'll tag along on that. Well, I think the shortest distance you could run was the half marathon. And I don't think I had run over 6 or 7 miles before that, but I was 15, I could do it, right? And lo and behold, I did it. And about halfway through the run, I thought it started to feel pretty good. Fast forward later to the words that I talked to you, railroad, plank, Manitowoc, and Coop, because those were the roads that we ran on after school through all the winter months of the rest of my years at East High School. And that really shaped who I was, and those are special memories for me. Those roads on those days were truly country roads. As soon as you left the East Campus, you were essentially in the country when you headed out that way. And we spent many very, very cold winter days running out on those roads, and we didn't miss. So much so that I started out, like I said, 15. When I was 25, I finished 4th in the Atlanta City Marathon with a time of 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that memory, and that's certainly something I'm proud of, but I wouldn't have done that had I not had somebody here in my high school years, in some ways, figuratively grab a hold of me and say, this is something you can do. That brought focus to me. I took every science class they had to offer at East. I loved science, but that running allowed me to focus in science classrooms. I learned to write here at East High School. I certainly was writing beforehand, but Mrs. Gilbertson, who was one of our writing instructors here, was exceptional. And I can say from my science instruction here and my writing instruction that college certainly was a whole lot easier because I certainly had very, very challenging courses. But it was the running that allowed me to gain my focus and attend in the classroom. So we never know what it's going to take for any of us to realize our potential. And I certainly started out at East High School as certainly a work in progress, and I certainly emerged as a work in progress, but as many students that enter East High School, we have troubled waters and challenges, and as we enter high school, and I have to say that East provided that bridge to my future by providing that opportunity. So it's through running and through academics. So it's with great pleasure that I get to conclude my remarks tonight by introducing Dan Van Sickle, Director of the Easterners, for what has become the staple for East graduations, very appropriately, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. Following this performance by the Easterners, there also is one more special message, and we'll watch that at that point. Thank you.
things I want to say, I need to start with a joke, my wife said, and I think I'll do that. This is a story about two nuns, teaching nuns in Appleton, who decided that when Christmas came, they wanted to take a vacation. I'm sorry, when Easter came, they wanted to take a vacation. So they went to the priest and said, yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't you take one of the parish cars? Oh, that was even better. So it came Easter break, and they got into the parish car, and they headed south. And they were driving along, probably in Georgia, being very happy and enjoying feeling it. And Bubba, with his big truck, came up behind them, and right beside him, and roaring behind them, cut in front of him, and away he went. And the driving nun said, that was very naughty. And the driving nun said, yes, it was very naughty indeed. And the driving nun said, I think I will speed up, and when I get up to Bubba, I want you to give him the finger. Give him the finger? I didn't know that. I don't know if I could do that. Yes, you can. You just think about it. Here we go. So the driving nun sped up the car. About 20 minutes later, they caught up to Bubba. And they came up to Bubba right beside him. And the driving nun said, okay, now you give him the finger. And the driving nun, sitting nun said, I don't know. He said, yes, you do. You give him the finger. She said, okay. So now I want to tell you a little bit about Appleton East High. In the Appleton East, there were deer in the open fields out here. There were no houses at all, nothing at all. There were farm fields across the road, and it was very much an outdoor organization, outdoor strictly and everything else. We had no auditorium available, so the fall play was put in the commons. We had no gym, no IMC, no pool, and no athletic field. So all these things had to fall in during this fall, while we could one at a time do it. There's another time when we had some very, very cold weather, and of course at that time, all the girls and the women had to wear skirts. That's all there was to it. And it was cold. And the student council president came to me and he said, you know, it's really not fair to have all these women and girls wearing skirts when it's so damn cold. I said, you know, you're right. Let's drop the skirts. So they really opened up and everything was skirts, and that was it. Well, one of the junior high teachers, or junior high principals, was very upset by the fact that I was allowing his students, the other students, to wear skirts. So he called me and the superintendent together for a meeting, and we talked about it. And finally, the principal from junior high school said, what am I going to tell my girls about this when I go back? And I said, I don't know, what are you going to tell them? And that's that the superintendent chuckled and went on, there were no more skirts had to be worn, so that worked out very well. Interesting pranks, we had some interesting senior high pranks. One of them was that all the clocks, we came in one morning, on Monday morning, all the clocks were gone. They were gone. Empty spots up here. Fortunately, the clocks plugged in, so we thought, well, these kids are smart, but they're not that smart. So we lifted up the ceiling tile, and of course there were the clocks. We gathered them up and plugged them back in, everything was fine. Well, a year or two later, we came in on Monday morning, and there were no bells ringing. No bells at all. And we said, we know where they are. There were bugs, but they weren't there. So finally, I found a couple of guys that I thought probably were involved in it, and I called them and I said, okay, where are the bells? They said, well, we don't know. I said, I think you might know where they are. And they said, well, if you had lost something, where would you go look for it? Well, in the student office over here, there was a big cardboard box with the old mittens and coats and everything else that were left over. So we dug down in there, and there at the bottom of all those were the clocks. So we gathered them up, and we took them out, and we plugged them back in. Well, I had to bring those three of those students in and have a chat with them. And I had to suspend them because it was not good. Well, you know, it was kind of a suspension, and their parents came to them and I said, cool, we're just going to, everything's going to stay fine on their records unless something piles up, and then there'll be no record of this at all. So they agreed that would be fine. So they started that. Graduation gifts were interesting too. Two of them. One of them, the students were coming up to me toward the end, and one of the students had a handful of screws, and he said, here, take these, but don't lose them. I said, okay, so I put them in my pocket. I got there a little later, and the last boy coming up on the stage held me 2 license plates. I had just gotten some personalized license plates for my car, and there they were in my hands. Tighten them up, no big deal. Another time, I had a new bicycle, a new motorcycle, and I had an accident with it. And so it was in the early spring, so the senior class decided I needed some help. So every student coming up handed me a Band-Aid. So I had a handful of Band-Aids at the end of this graduation, and I knew that's pretty good. That's all right, we can handle that. Another time at the graduation, I had my speech all written up. It had to do with everything I learned in school, I learned in kindergarten. One of the 4 student speakers got up and gave that speech. So what am I going to do now? I'm sure I'm going to repeat that. So I got up very proud and said, you know, you're going to get a lot of recommendations during this time. So I'm just going to give you 2. I said, number 1 is, when you do your laundry, separate the whites and the darks so you don't blend them. And the second one is, don't ever go to the grocery store hungry. Well, okay, that was it. Then I just concluded we went ahead with graduation. Another time came up, we had a snow day. And this was still back when we had no big around us, buildings or anything. One teacher had her home way out on the west side, way out by the airport. And so she came tromping in late. All the teachers had to report, but the students didn't. But she came in late, and she was, I said, what's the matter? Well, I got to do it. She said, come here. So I took her over by the windows, and we looked out, and I said, do you see all those for sale lots right there back to school? She said, no, they're not in that. Those done that. But the bad part was, within another 4 or 5 years, my kids were gone. So I built a home way out in Ortonville area up on a cliff. Well, sure enough, I had snowed in. At that time, I could call my assistant principal, who took his cross-country skis up here and was in the office. I said, I want you to go to my office and forward all my calls to my home phone. So he did, and I was answering calls and everything. And finally, the principal at James Madison, who was Tom Thompson at the time, said, hey, how about meeting over at Mary's for a cup of coffee? Well, I'll tell you. I can appreciate snow days more then. And the final thing I have to tell you about is about bomb threats. We had some bomb threats early on, and we just kind of ignored them. Then after that bomb that blew up at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, we said, we've got to do something with these bomb threat things. So what I did was, every time we had a bomb threat, I went and turned off all the clocks. I said, okay, we're going outside, everybody go outside, when we do our inspection, we'll turn the clocks back on, you can start again. So we usually got about 20, 25 minutes outside, and we made a cursory look, but we couldn't check everything, obviously. So we called everybody back in, turned the clocks back on, so we were 20 minutes late, 25 minutes late for the buses and everything else. And kids, that's it, And we found that that worked every 3 years, because every 3 years we had a new group of students. We bombed it. So that was East High, as we opened it up and had all kinds of things happening. So now I'll tell you one last story. It has to do with 2 old men, probably about my age. And they were both widowers, and they had done a lot of things together. Do this and do that. So one day they got together and said, let's go downtown. None of us will drive. Okay. So they got in the car, and away they went downtown. And they went going down toward town. And the guy riding said, hey, you know you went through 3 red lights? And the guy goes, oh, am I driving?
Hi everybody, I'm Dan Van Sickle, choir director here at East. I wish I could say I went to East, but I feel like I'm part of this community now. We're going to wrap this up, and it's hard to follow Stan Orr, but we're going to wrap this up with all of us together, doing what we love to do here at East, sing. And you are going to help us, even you, Coach Schwanke. Everybody gets to be part of this. You're going to take a little journey through the decades with us, back through songs that everyone in this room surely will know. So please sing along with us. The Easterners are going to get us rolling. We might even put words up on the screen to help you in case you forget. So Here we go. Take a journey with us back through time.